Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today is the day where we tackle the long-awaited international covers, but this time for Arc 2, The New Prophecy. Now, if you haven't watched the last video, I highly recommend you watch it just because it kind of explains this whole process. But to briefly summarize, basically I will be looking at the international releases, aka every single book cover and original or redesign outside of the US release. Sometimes they're a little bit different, sometimes they're very different, but overall we're here to just kind of look at them and bring attention to how good they look, how okay they look, and maybe some don't look okay, but all of these are pretty good. And while there are less than the previous time, mainly because, as series progress, less and less of them are published internationally, we still have a large variety to look at. So, without further ado, let's get started on the Warrior Cats international covers for Arc 2, The New Prophecy. First, once again, we'll start with the UK covers. Now this time, there isn't really that many covers. They only did one normal cover from the looks of it. And as you can see, as I showed you earlier, this is the midnight one. So as you can see, the logo and just the font in general is very different. And, they chose, it's the same font, I believe. I think I read this somewhere. It's like Cinzel or a variant of the Cinzel font. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is just a slightly different variant. Obviously, the W and the S are slightly smaller and it looks more bunched up. I don't actually mind this coloration. In fact, I actually prefer it. It gives that more mystique to it. Also, the entirety of the cover has just been brightened. If you compare to earlier, everything is brightened. The outer image is brightened, the center image has been brightened, and even there's a star in the bottom left-hand corner that just is way brighter. I don't know why that is. It is there, So, overall, I think this actually looks fine. Although, I kind of had this in the last video, I do question why even bother making a new cover art, even if, it's virtually the same one. And the same kind of goes for Moonrise. Now, Moonrise, again, it's very similar, It's basically the same one. It's slightly brighter, a little bit zoomed in. I liked the color of the font. That's a very nice yellow, but I also like the design of the W. It's this very nice kind of texture to the font. Overall, it's pretty good. This is actually one of the better covers of this arc. And then same goes for Dawn. Again, they just brightened it. Some of the stars pop a bit more. Overall, not that much different from the original book cover, but overall, it still is serviceable. But then we get to Starlight. And I don't know what happened here. So obviously, it's just overall brighter. The center cat is brightened, the overall bright. The orange on the font is a little darker than I would think they would use, but they did. But I don't know, it's just kind of strange to also point out the elephant in the room, the bottom cats. So not only have they substantially zoomed in that image, they've also nearly silhouetted them. And also they have this kind of glow to them surrounding their bodies. It's just weird. Doesn't make any sense. Plus, you can still see the other cat in the corner. If you wanted to show two cats fighting, you could have done it. I know this was years ago, but if you're going to use Photoshop to this degree, maybe go farther? Again, the coloration isn't bad. I mean, the orange pops against the blue. Maybe that's what they were kind of going for, so it would pop better. But just kind of strange. But granted, it's not as strange as the Twilight cover. Again, they brightened it. But I know what you're thinking, what is this image in the background? So, I'm fairly certain this is just straight up. So, on the Warrior Cats books, they have full art that wraps around the entirety art. And I think this is a picture from the back half, but it doesn't 100% line up from what I can tell. And I think the cat coloration is different. And it's just kind of weird. I don't get it. If this is supposed to be more indicative of the plot, I don't know who those cats are supposed to represent. I could say this is closer to maybe a squirrel fight in a leaf pool, but I would say the colorations are different. Even though, since this is their book, you think it would be them, but no, the coloration is completely off. So, I don't really know what to say here. It's just, alright. Also, that orange on the text is not helping at all. Like, it's just so dark. It worked on the other one because it popped more, but it just kind of blends into the background. Like, around the W, I, and L, it doesn't look very good. If it was green, like the green of the logo, I think it would pop more, but overall, it's kind of strange. And then we have the sunset, which just slightly zoomed in, slightly brightened up, nothing really to say. It looks good. Overall, these UK covers are alright. I mean, they look good, they're very presentable. In some aspects, they are better than the original covers, but in other aspects, they're just kind of weird. And furthermore, it kind of brings up the point, like, were these necessary? Like, compared to the original ones, they are serviceable, but why redo cover art without really doing it? It's just kind of strange. I know, this is my personal opinion. And that's all the UK covers. Only one redesign each, aside from the more well-known one, obviously. But now we're going to go into a new contender. Brand new country that has exclusive covers. And that would be Italy. Now, in the previous video, Italy didn't have, like, specific country of origin international covers. They actually shared covers, which I believe the Germany and Austria ones, which we'll get to. We'll get to them. But this time, they actually have their own unique cover arc for just this arc so far? Well, let's take a look. So first we have this one. Now, first off, they say warrior cats, and they have the lovely cat eye in the O. Nice. The R's are nice swooped. I like it. Cats is a little smaller than what I would think it would be. And also the R is just kind of off-putting because I don't think it's usually, but they're trying to invoke the original logo while still being more specific. And I think it works. But anyway, here we have lovely Photoshop. So as you can see, translate to midnight, very simple. But the weird thing about this is that, so they took a picture of a cat, they brightened the eyes, and there's a silhouette of a cat in the background against the moon. Like, it doesn't look bad. Like, the coloration is actually really cool. Like, they're just trying to go over, like, one primary color with, like, one color really sticking out, that being the eyes. And overall, it looks nice. The problem being, I have no idea who this cat is supposed to be. Like, you think it would be, like, Brambleclaw, because he's the protagonist of this book, but not only are the eye coloring wrong, the fur coloring is wrong. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't really know what to say here. Like, I do not know who this is. Unless it's like a translation thing where, like, other countries describe how characters look differently, but I'm not 100% sure. It's possible this is just someone else. I don't know, but overall, I think it looks fine. Then we have this one. So the translation I got said first moon. Please correct me if I was wrong. I'm not an expert in these languages. But let's talk about this cat. So, again, angry cat, moon in the background, if that makes sense. This is also weird, because, like, this looks more like Brambleclaw. But he's not the protagonist of this book. If anything, he's a side character. Hell, I'd even go as far as saying he's not even a character in this book. So why is presumably he on the cover art? Doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, they're keeping in tone with one color. You know, it's brownish red all over, with like a little bit of green to pop it. And in the background, you see these lovely mountains. This is kind of hard to see because the W is mainly blocking them. But overall, I think it's fine, if not confusing. So then we have Dawn. Alba. It's nice. That's a nice name. Again, not terrible, not great. The coloration's a bit out of whack here. So you have gray with a little bit of blue and green. Doesn't all blend, and I can't really tell who the cat is specifically, just because of the coloration. But it's a cute cat, so I can't really argue with that. But overall, I think it's fine. You know, it's serviceable. It's serviceable. So then we have this one, Under the Stars. This is a thing that happens. Both Moonrise and Starlight, not every country has direct translations for it, which is fine. That's understandable. Not every country. Hell, even we have words that don't easily translate from one language to another, so it's fine. But this one actually I really like, because this is the fourth book, and it's weird, because this looks like a pretty good squirrel flight. In fact, it probably is. But this is not the book she's a protagonist in. Yeah, she's important in this book, but I don't know. I felt you would at least switch them or anything. I don't know. It's a bit strange. But overall, color contrast is really nice. That's a really nice red on that cat. I feel like that's not natural, but if it is, cute cat. Not much to say. Just that. So then we have Twilight. I'm presuming this is Crowfeather. It looks fine. It's a black cat. It's cute. I don't know. There's really not a lot to say about this one. And same goes for Sunset. You know, it's a cute cat. There's a sunset on the horizon. There was a twilight kind of in the previous one. Overall, there's not a lot to say. I mean, it's fascinating that for this arc, Italy decided to do their own covers. And, like, they're not bad. Again, kind of like the UK one, they're serviceable. But it does bring up the question of, like, why specifically they chose for arc 1 to share covers and this one to do their own covers. Was it, like, a distributing thing? I don't know. But overall, I think it's still pretty fine. I like the fact that they kept the logo color consistent. Pretty much every single Warrior Cats book, the logo changes colors more or less. But this one, it stayed a consistent yellow, which is its most prominent color. But I think that's really commitment. The only other thing I have to really say about these Italy covers is that, well, they exist. They're not bad. I don't think they're really that bad. There are worse covers we'll cover in a sec. But now, on to the Japan covers. Now, this actually took me a while to do, because, no offense, Warrior Wiki, but pretty much all of your covers for the Japan book covers are terrible. Like, they're small. So I had to go and find these covers on, like, Japan bookstores, and they were better images. Like, holy cow, just you wait. So first, let's cover the Midnight. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. There's a 2. Right there, there's a 2. Not what I expected, but I think it's interesting. And yes, if you're wondering, pretty much every Warrior arc that I saw, arc 3, arc 4, it's just Warriors 3 and 4, and I presume a 5 of Dawn of the Clans has made it there, which, you know, that's pretty cool. But yeah, overall, it's actually a really good cover art. Japan has really good cover art when it comes to this. Like, the artist, I forget his name. I know it's a guy, I believe, but he does really good work on all of this. But yeah, we can see Midnight Aaron Hunter at the top. You have the Warriors logo with all the translated Japanese text. You have a border with a cat that's very intricately designed. And you have the paw with the number 1 on it to indicate what book it is. The cat, obviously, is Brambleclaw. There's not really a debate about that. Eye coloration is a little bit off, but I think it's just not as deep as we would assume it is. Overall, this is a pretty good cover art. I like it. And then here is the alternative cover art. Now, I do not know why there are 2 cover arts. If you know, please tell me. I would just assume it's just either a reprint or maybe like a pocket edition, like a smaller variant of the book. Please tell me. I would love to know. I think all of us would love to know. But again, it gets the job done. This one's actually better in some regard because it makes the Japanese text more prominent as opposed to the other one where the American text or the English text was more prominent. Like, it's still there, but it's a smaller and more kind of subset. And obviously you have cats on each side of it in a very nice pose. They did brighten the entirety of, like, the image on the back to make it a little pop more, and you can see, you know, it looks pretty nice. And you can see that the Midnight, I presume what it is like more, it pops it more instead of more faded, which I think is really nice. And overall, it's just really good. I like it. I think it's funny they still use the Roman numeral 2 though, because I would assume, if not, it doesn't make me rude or anything, that they have, you know, their own like word or length or like symbol for numbers, or maybe that's an international thing. I don't know. I'm a dumb American. Apologies. But let's move on to Moonrise. Again, it's pretty cool. There's a moon in the back. It is rising. There's a bird for some reason. I don't know why there's a bird, but this is clearly Stormfur. You know, again, the colors are very nice. You can see a little bit of the spine. That's just how I got the image. And honestly, with the little glimpse we get of the spine, because we don't really see the spine on most of these books because they're not really that important, I feel, but it does get a little image of like how you can see the cat on the top, you see like the logo, you see the Japanese text over it. It's nice. Again, namaste. It's good art. There's a nice flower. Overall, it's nice. Same goes for the alternative text. Again, they brighten it up. It pops. The flower is still visible, which I think is a little surprising. I thought they would remove that, but overall, it's pretty good. Then we have Dawn. Now this one is interesting because I can't really tell who the cat is. For this one, someone might have to tell me, but it's clearly not Stormfur, and it's clearly not his sister Feathertail. It might be Cinderpelt, but like she's not that important in this book, so I don't really know why that'd be the case. But as you can see, the background, it's Dawn, you know? So that's a plus. If you have, you know, the name of the book in the background, I think that's serviceable. I think it's a pass. And again, the alternative image is good. It does take away a bit of the Dawn, though. It makes it less prominent, which is a little bit of a downside. But overall, I still think it looks very nice, and in some ways could be preferable to the original cover art. So then we have Starlight. This looks very nice. I like this. Now this, I don't know what this is. I think it might be, I don't know, it might be Hawkfrost. It might be Hawkfrost or Mudfur. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, it's Starlight. There's the lake in the background with the forest and the pine. So obviously they have that down from the books. Although I'm not getting as much Starlight in like the main picture. In like the surrounding borders, you can see it, but it's not as prominent here. And yeah, you do kind of get like Starlight stuff in the alternative text, but I don't know. Maybe it's just something that's really hard to convey I mean, there are stars in both the original and in the alternative text, but just not as prominent as one would think. But overall, it still looks very nice. Then we have the 5th book, Twilight. This one looks cool. So we have a cat. Again, it's kind of hard to tell. I don't think it's Leafpool. I really don't. But what I do like about it is that, look, in the background, there's a badger. Just like ominous cloud. Maybe this is Leafpool. But I just like that in this background, obviously it's not really Twilight, which, granted, I don't know how you could really visually show Twilight. I think it's kind of difficult. But the badger in the background, menacingly kind of looking back. You have thunder cracking off of it. Very ominous. Very cool. I like it. It's nice. Same goes for the alternative one. Again, the badger, which is more subtle, now pops. The lightning is more present. It's serviceable. It's good. Again, it's honestly preferable in many ways to the original cover art. And finally, we have Sunset. Well, sun is setting. I say that covers it. Again, lovely cat. Bit of an awkward position its face is in. It makes its face kind of look a little bit smaller. But again, I think the color looks nice. And, you know, the sun is reflecting off the water cut off by like the trees. You see the reeds. Overall, the color is it just pops. Like, especially the sun pops so well. And like the ripple effect, even though it's very minute and you really have to squint to look at it, it really brings out the beauty of this image. And you still get that in the alternative text. Again, it's brightened, but the colors still work. In fact, they kind of work better because you can see a bit more of the fade from like this red to orange, evoking more of this sunset feeling. Overall, I would say all the Japanese book covers are really good. You know, they're original, they invoke the title of the book, they give minimal away about the plot, but they still just overall have this really comforting presence. And I would 100% pick these up if I saw them. You know, they just really give off this different kind of energy and different type of vibe from our, you know, the US covers. So overall, Japan, good job. Once again, your covers are amazing. And now on to the France covers. Interesting. So first we have just, again, it's just straight up the, you know, US cover with a little things different. For one, they've removed the border around the cat image, which, I mean, is not a bad thing. It's just kind of strange. So you remove the image and you bring it down so more of the, image is present, which I think that's fine. You get to see more of the night sky. But it's just kind of weird because, I don't know, it just kind of seems badly photoshopped without the border. It just seems like it cuts off parts of it, unless you have a border there in which it would be more natural. Also, it has this thing called Cycle 2, which is Cycle 2, that makes it sound dramatic, grand in a vision, cycle. Also, as you can probably see, the translation I got, and I tested this a couple times, so it's possible that my method was wrong, and if you speak French, please correct me. But the translation I got was The Last Prophecy, so, which feels wrong, but again, I tested this multiple ways, and this is what I got each time. So either all the translation tools I used were wrong, or just that what it comes out to, in which case, why was it translated like this? I don't know, I'm not really going to worry about it. Overall, this cover is fine. Could be better? Yeah. Could be worse? Yeah. Let's move on. So next we have this one. Now, in the last video, I said it was an ebook, because that's what the Wookiee said. However, one of you lovely people, I do not remember who, but thank you so much, you told me this was actually a pocket edition. Basically, a smaller version of the book that could, I assume, fit in a pocket? In which case, that's pretty cool, not gonna lie. Again, I don't remember who you are, but thank you so very much for letting me know this. And again, like the last pocket edition of these books, it's very simple cover, it's just a very similar image with the background changing color for each one. I'll show you every one just to kind of show you what kind of color it gives off, but overall, for Midnight, I think the blue is a good choice because it still invokes the actual original cover, and overall just looks very appealing. So then you have this one, which is, again, this is a weird thing. So you have the image, and they remove the cycle, which, okay, sure, you can do that, it doesn't really matter. But what's weird about this all is that what they did with the background. So for a lot of these covers that reuse the original one, they usually brighten the image. Hell, that's what they did for Midnight. But weirdly enough, for this one, they darkened it. They darkened both the background and even the center picture by 10%, maybe 15%. And I'm just it's not bad, it's just kind of noticeable. So, I don't know. Not really much to say here, just it's a thing I noticed. Again, the Pocket Edition, green, it's a choice. Moving on. Then we have Dawn. This one I actually really like, because you actually see more of the lake. With our version, the US one, this the mountain in the background, or the slope or up where that eventually becomes their territories, is obscured, but now you can see it, and you can even see more of the dawn peeking over. And I really like that. It actually is a better choice. So, good job. Good job, France. It looks nice. And then we have this one. It's orange. Not much to say. It's cool looking. So then we have Starlight, which translates to Starry Night. Yeah, I get it. Again, this one's not bad. It's just, there's cats. They're all over the place. Not much to say. It's just, alright. Again, the border is weird because, the other two I didn't bring it up because, it wasn't as distracting. It was, I could see it, but it didn't pull me out, unlike the Midnight one. This one does, because it's so apparent that these are images that could be, together. It's so obvious, because it's, the two shades of blue. So again, it just brings up the question of, why did you do it like this? I don't know. Again, Pocket Edition, purple, more of a light lavender? Yeah, lavender. We'll call this a lavender. No, it's pleasant color. Yeah, that's it. Okay, this one's weird. So Twilight again. They just used the main art, but they took away the background? What? Yeah, so what they did is they took away the entirety of the background. They left the cats here. Like, they took away the forest in the background. The only reason I could think of why they did this is because it clashed with how the logo is presented. In which case, like, yeah, I get it, but the gray is also very distracting. Like, this is a very kind of, I mean, everything pops. You know, we'll give it that. Like, everything pops, the color pops, it looks fine. But the gray is just kind of unappealing. Because it's a gray that, like, fades, that, like, bleeds into, like, a darker gray. Which, again, causes things to pop. But it just looks very unpleasant. Which is unfortunate, but, you know, it's there. And for this one, for the Pocket Edition, you have pink. And I didn't mention it, because I forgot, because I was ranting a bit. But this book in French translated to either dusk or twilight when I tried to do it. So, I mean, they're both very similar concepts, but I kind of would get the why they're interchangeable. It was just something interesting I noticed. And then finally we have sunset. That's a very long word for sunset. Again, we see more of the image. They didn't really do much to it. It looks good. And I think this is a case where, like, it's fine there isn't a border on the cat because it's so distinct in color that it doesn't really need to have a border. At least, I mean, it still should have a border, but I think you're fine with not having it. But overall, I'd say this actually is pretty good. Again, I like more of the image. I like the Path of Stars. It's cool. And then we have the Pocket Edition where, again, it's fine. I mean, the color's nice, but what even color is color? It's like a mango color. Mango. It looks like a mango. Well, now, with that said, that's all of the French covers. Now, as for the normal French covers, more or less, they're fine. Some I think, are a bit questionable. Like the Twilight one is just, I don't even know what to say about that one. But again, most of them of the changes they made are pretty minute and don't take away too much. They're just kind of noticeable if you know the US covers. And as for the Pocket Editions, it actually makes a lot more sense why the pocket books are so minimalistically designed. So you don't want like this really intricate cover art for just like a small book. That actually makes a lot of sense. And in that case, I think they're serviceable. And I even like them. I think that makes a lot of sense. But without further ado, let's move on to the Germany and Austria covers. Now don't worry, there are not that many covers between Germany and Austria. No. Oh, which honestly is a little bit of a shame. I liked that there were so many varied covers, even though it was kind of nonsensical. But let's get into it. So first we have Midnight. Overall, looks nice. The new prophecy, Midnight. The cat looks nice. This one's interesting. So the main cat, I don't know who that is. Genuinely, I don't know who the main cat is. But on the bottom image, I would assume this is the meeting that StarClan has between the 4 cats, although I could not tell you which cat is which. I don't know. Overall, it's presentable. I like the logo. I like the banner across the top that differentiates it. It's fun. It's whimsical. I like it. And much like last time, this cover art, if not changed slightly, is shared across many different books. It's shared with Finland, Belgium, Brazil, Spain, Norway, Latvia, and Taiwan this time. That's a bit strange. Like, last time, there were some countries that are now missing that did share this cover art, which, if you watched the last video, then you would know, which is, again, fine, I get that, but, like, we added one. Taiwan uses a variant of this cover art, which is kind of strange. Like, all of these are kind of, like, more or less European countries, Finland, Belgium, Spain, Norway, Latvia, all, European countries. Brazil is kind of the exception to that, but, like, I would think that because it's, like, well, that doesn't really make any sense now, because Portugal is out. Yeah, I don't really know why Brazil still shares this one. But then you have Taiwan, which is just kind of weird, again. This isn't a bad thing against it, it's just kind of like, of all things, why Taiwan? But anyway, let's move on to Moonrise. Now, again, looks pretty nice. No, it's white, it strikes against it. The bottom image is a little confusing. Look, you have 5 cats. Just 5. Maybe they're counting the one at the top, in which case that would be like the 6 cats. The moon is rising in the background. Not a lot to say. I don't know who the main cat is, which is fine. I just think, like, the color contrast is really nice. Yeah, it's nice. Again, here are the countries that share it, with some variant between them. And next we have Dawn. Now this one is interesting. So the main cat, I assume is either Firestar or Squirrel Paw. Don't know which one, doesn't really matter. But what I like is the bottom, you have the Great Journey going on. As far as I know, none of the covers really ever depict, like, just generally speaking, major events like the Great Journey. Like, I know the Great Journey is, like, in the back half of the book, and hell, it's not even the main reason the book exists. So it's kind of strange that it's not really a spoiler, per se, it's just kind of an interesting touch. But I do like, you have a bunch of different cats, and they all clearly are differently designed. So overall, I actually really like this. It's pretty cool. Again, here are all the countries that share it, although this time, Brazil doesn't share it. Yeah, Brazil, going forward, Brazil doesn't actually share any of the other ones. So only the first 2 Brazil shared. Again, this is just based on the wiki's information, and, oftentimes the wiki doesn't have every single detail, but if not, this is a strange thing. Like, 2 books in and you gave up. It's a bit strange, Brazil, not gonna lie. So then we have this one, Starlight, which actually is translated. A little surprised, but here we go. And again, I like this one. Again, I cannot tell who the cat is, but it's a nice looking cat. Not gonna lie, like the patterning. But the bottom image I actually really liked because it's showing the discovery, or at least the first travel to the moon pool, which I think is pretty cool. I like that. We don't actually see the moon pool a lot in, like, visual form. So actually having, an image of it is really cool. And I know, when eventually we get there, in, like, the Warrior Cats graphic novel adaptation, we will see someone's interpretation of the moon pool. I get that. And we have seen it before, but I like seeing the cover art. I think that's really creative. Again, here are the countries that share the cover art, and moving on. So now we move on to Twilight. This one's cool. Again, no idea who the main cat is. Like, genuinely, I don't know. Maybe it's Cinderpelt. It might be... Does Cinderpelt have blue eyes? Does she? I'm not going to bother checking. But if it is Cinderpelt, then that actually makes a lot of sense. Because the bottom image, you have Crowfeather on the left and Leaf Pool on the right, and they're being cute. And it's lovely, and I like it. Not much to say. It's just cute. Here are the countries they share it with. The drill by now. And finally, Sunset. Ooh, fancy. I really like this. You have, again, main cat. I don't think it's Brambleclaw. It's definitely not Hawkfrost, and I don't even think it's Firestar. But I really like, it's like the cat leaping on to attack another. Very dramatic fight scene, kind of the climax of the book. Minorly spoils certain parts of it, but I don't think anyone's gonna know that this is the scene it's depicting until they read the scene. Does that make sense? Probably not. Anyway, I think it's pretty good. I like the color. It's a sunset color. Overall, really nice. And here are all the countries it shares with. And that wraps up the Germany and Austria one. Regrettably, not as many cover arts as the previous arc, but overall, I'd say each of these cover art, no matter what country they were in, is really good. They give off a good vibe, the coloration is nice, and even if I can't tell who the cat is all the time, it doesn't matter, because it just invokes this really, like, epic kind of scale. And with the image on the bottom, it gives away some of the plot, but not unless you read the book. It's not immediately obvious, which I really like. And the one thing I would say about this is this is how you do cat heads in, like, an image with a bottom image. It's a bit of a roast for the Arc 2 cover arts. If you know, you know. Well, that said, let's move on to the Ukraine covers, coming back at us again. In this time, much higher quality. So first we have this one. And, well, it's good. I don't know who the cat is. Like, who is that? I don't know. But I like the top image actually has 6 cats. The 6 cats that went on the journey to find Midnight. It's pretty cool. Not much to say here. You know, it is midnight. And shockingly, they use blacks blacks and grays to depict midnight, which, like, yeah, that would be what midnight typically would look like. It's just, I didn't think anyone would do it. So next we have Moonrise. So this book, interesting. So you actually, on the left, on the top image, you have what I can assume, based on how big it is Sharptooth. And you have the 2 cats on the right-hand side, which I would think one of them is probably Stormfur and one is Feathertail, considering their importance. And overall, I really like it. I don't get why there's like a raging river behind a cat that, again, I don't know. And also why the cat is in front of like a rock. I don't know why that is. I mean, I know there's like a RiverClan scene in this book, but I didn't think it was enough to make it the point of the cover art. I don't know. Not much to say. I like it. So then we have the Dawn. This one I like. So the cat on the bottom, I like where it's, because it's looking. Like the other two, we're just kind of looking at us, the reader. But this one, it's looking toward the right. And what's on the right? The Star of the Dying Warrior. And you also see the cats on the top also looking after the Star of the Dying Warrior. So I really like that. It's dynamic. It has flow. It has action. I love it. This is the best one so far. And the color is really nice, you know? A nice little dawn at the top. Really nice. I like, overall, really good. So then we have Starlight. Well, there is stars. They are a light. There's not much to say. Hey, you know, you have 2 cats on the bottom. They're cats. I like the cat on the right, though. That's cute. Honestly, it kind of looks like what the authors thinks Moonpaw looks like right now. That is a topical joke. It's a terrible one. Moving on to Twilight. It's fine. You know, you have the crow feather on the left. What I assume their depiction of Leaf Pool is on the right. Bit too much white. A lot of people give Leaf Pool more white in these international covers, which isn't bad. It's kind of like a noticeable thing. The top one, you have what I assume both of them, again, talking to a badger, which looks smaller than them. Like, I know badgers aren't that big, but I don't know, it just kind of feels a bit off. A little bit too much smaller than what I think we're used to. Yeah. Although, I have to bring this up. Why is the text black? Like, this is the only cover that the logo is black. All the other logos are white. So why is this one black? Like, this is one of the few ones where, like, the white would actually help it pop. I don't know why this is. Like, genuinely, why they did this. So then we have Sunset. There is a sunset. Enough said, really. So on the bottom we have what I assume is Brambleclaw, and on the right I assume, I want to say it's Hawkfrost, even though it doesn't look that much beside the eyes. On the top there's a cat that's screaming Bloody Mary. It's fine. So here's the thing. I make jokes about people like photoshopping some of these covers. These covers are the most photoshopped things I ever get. Like, I get it. Not everyone can have like intricate cover art for their books. But the colors they all kind of blend together. Like, they always kind of intentionally choose like backgrounds and colors and like cat colors that blend together to a point where like only the logo really pops, which, I mean, that's fine. It's just kind of like distracting and just not really that. How do I put this? It's not that appealing beyond like just the logo. And if you know the logo, that's fine. But I feel like there could still be more done. Like, if the cats popped a bit more. Just a little bit. Like, if you upped the brightness a bit, like 20%, I think it will look a little bit better. but I still think there'd be little issues. And also, side note, one actually thing I really like about the Ukraine covers is on the bottom, there's like this text below this section on the bottom side, which is like the logo title of the book. There's like what appears to be a quote, and I actually did translate this, but I'm not going to put it on the screen. If you want to actually know what this is, I would suggest using Google Lens. If you can use that, it translates it, and it actually is really interesting. Basically, it's like a little blurb and like little like foreboding thing about the book, but on like the front. And actually, they're all really good. To the point where I actually think they're better than the American teasers. But overall, the Ukraine books are fine. That's the best thing I say about them. They're fine. Could they be better? Yes. In fact, I would actually hope that if reprints ever happen in Ukraine, these books desperately get them. But yeah, I'm sorry, Ukraine. The last ones I think were fine because they were, your first arc. But this one, just kind of, I hope in the future you get better art, because this is not helping. I'm sorry. It's not helping your appeal. So next we have South Korea covers. Now these ones are just kind of boring, to be honest. They're just like the redesign. Like look at this one. Look at the Midnight one. It's just the redesign for the US ones. The only interesting thing about here is that on the top, on the above like the logo, there's a little cat. It's cute. It's a cute little cat sitting. But the main reason I took this cover is because I had this giant block of text here, and I didn't know what it meant. And I wanted to ask people what it was, but I did use an app on my phone to like translate it, and apparently it's just a blurb saying, "Hey, here's the second art of Warrior Cats, the best-selling series. You should buy it." That's it. It's not exciting. It's just kind of boring. The same goes for the second book, although the cat pose is different, which is cute. It's a small detail, but overall looks really nice. Again, the blurb is virtually the same here. Like, there's a few minute differences, but more or less the same. And then from book 3 onward, they don't even have the blurb anymore. They just kind of have a bit of text. And again, the cat's in a different position. I'm not going to do the other 3 books just because the cats are in a different position. If you want to find them, you can go to the Warrior Cats wiki. I'll put a link in the description of how I found all my stuff. You just go to each of the books page and you scroll down to foreign covers. It's there. You can look at it for yourself. But with that said, let's move on to an interesting anticipated one, the Russia covers. So first we have Midnight's cover. Now this is interesting. I actually really like listen, as much as Russia is, Russia at the moment, we all are aware of this. I knew this when I made the last video. Y'all know this when I make this video. Russia has issues. But besides that, their art is really good. I like the Grimm's fairy tale kind of vibe. Like, it's like a bound book from ancient times. But I actually really like what they did here. So in the bottom image, you have Brambleclaw. That's very obvious. The coloration is perfect. And to the right of him, I assume this is Squirrelpaw, because she's a prominent character in this book. In the back, you have a cat that's a silhouette. Don't know who that is, but on the top, you have a badger. Again, bit smaller. I know badgers aren't that big, but I just feel like a bit more prominent. But you have Midnight the Badger in front of Midnight the Time. I like that. It's cool. It's simple. It's effective. Next, we have Moonrise. Again, this is really nice. In the main character, you have Stormfur, albeit not as a bit darker than I think he would be. Like, the whole point of this book is he's supposed to be like a silver gray cat, but more like silver. This man's more gray, borderline like a black cat. So like, I don't get what they were doing. In the background, I assume that's Feathertail, but I mean, yeah, it's more obvious that there is a contrasting element between them, but overall, there really should not be this confusion between the tribe cats. And on top, we have a ferocious little sharp tooth. And hell, the man is even clawing through like the banner. Like, those claw lyrics, if you look at the banner of all of them, those aren't there in any other of the banners, which I like. That's such a small detail, but it's like he's bursting through the page. I like the cover. It's a small detail, but I love it. And next we have this cover, which according to the wiki is a golden edition, but based on what kind of I can ascertain from this is just a compilation book of the first and second. You know, it's a 2-in-1 volume. You know how some of those books exist. I've never received one, but it's pretty cool. You know, it's a very different design. In some ways, it's actually better. It shows it's more special than the basic cover art. I like it. There's even a little lock and key. And we have a lovely cat here. Maybe it's Stormfur. Maybe it's Feathertail. I think it's more sort of Stormfur. And behind him is the waterfall. You know, the little thing in the tribe's home. I like it. It reminds me a lot of like book 4 of Omen of the Stars' remakes, where like you have that background of it. It's very evocative of that, and I really like it. So next we have Dawn. Now this one's interesting. So the main cat, again, you think it'd be Squirrel Paw, but I don't think her eyes aren't orange, so I don't know what that's about. But above the image is really nice. So you have the Dying Warrior again. I love it when they introduce narrative things into the cover art. You don't know what it means immediately, but when you figure it out, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Also, I like that there are only 4 cats there, because it's basically, so either there are two ways you can interpret this. Either it's Squirrel Flight and then the other 4 cats that survived, or this is after Stormfur leaves, and it says there's only 4 cats left in the group. In which case, that's also really cool. Either one is awesome. I don't know which one it is, but I think it's cool. So then we have Starlight. This is interesting. So this one, I believe, is clearly Leaf Pool, just based on the coloration. On the top, there's a spirit. I don't know who the spirit is. I would assume Spotted Leaf, maybe Feathertail, showing her what presumably is the moon pool in the background. Yeah, not much to say. It's honestly one of the more bland ones they've come up with. Next on the next golden one. So this is the next golden edition, which is 2-in-1. It's books 3 and 4. So you have what I assume is Brambleclaw prominently in the foreground, and then you have Squirrel Flight at this point, maybe in the background. Yeah, not much to say. It's cool. I like that the art style is different from the other ones. Like the art style of the normal books, it does give out that like kind of like Photoshop vibe, but there obviously is a lot more thought put into it. This one, however, I actually think it's evocative, like the art style within the books, because the Russian editions have like special like images in each page or something like that. I don't know that much about it, but overall, it looks nice. I like it. So next we get Twilight. This is cool. So again, you have what appears to be Leaf Pool and Crowfeather. They look too different from each other. It's weird. Like, you have Leaf Pool with the last book, but you made her lighter, I assume. I mean, it's an interesting choice. I don't think it's that terrible, but alright. Then on the top, you have badgers. So many badgers barreling down to attack ThunderClan. Overall, pretty cool. I like it. It's nice. Next, we have Sunset. This one is kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. So the bottom cat, I would think is Crowfeather, but it's not that big in this book. Unless it's Hawkfrost. If it's Hawkfrost, then like, why does everyone not make Hawkfrost look exactly like Brambleclaw? That's kind of like the whole point. You think that they would, you know, make it more of a big deal, but they don't, and just kind of like, okay, sure. And as for like the top cat, honestly, I don't know. Like, genuinely, yeah. I mean, I honestly do not know who that is. And finally, the last golden edition, you have, once again, no, that's not him. I was going to say this was Brambleclaw, but looking at it at closer inspection, it might be Hawkfrost? Or maybe that's... Ooh, you know what? Maybe that's Crowfeather with Leafpool. No, I don't know. I don't know what cats these are. If you know, please tell me. But genuinely, I don't really know. I don't know who that is. But overall, the image is really nice. I like it. It's cool. So now, we're on the Taiwan covers. Now this is interesting. So Taiwan does a really interesting thing where, well, I'll just show you Midnight. So here's the Midnight one. You can probably see what I'm talking about. So they do this weird thing where they redo the entire image, but it's still like the same image. Like they use the original US cover as a reference. And at that point, I'm just kind of like, why don't you just use the US cover? I'm not like I'm saying this isn't a worse cover. It actually is very appealing. But I'm just like, it seems like a lot of work. I don't know. But overall, it's nice. It's a lot darker, much more evocative of Midnight. I like the dynamic nature of the cats on that slope. Overall, looks nice. Not much to say here. Moonrise is interesting. So they make the cat on the cover a bit smaller, which is a choice. But also, you see the sweeping scope of the mountains. Like you have this, again, you have the swoosh here of the cats on the journey. And then you have the cat silhouette in the foreground. Overall, looks really nice. I like the color. It blends really nicely together. Overall, I would say it's great stuff. So Dawn, again, they're invoking the original one, but this time they have the cats sit on a tree. I mean, like, sure, I guess. The colors are pretty, though. I really like the colors. They're so pretty. So then you have Starlight. Again, not much to say here. But it's like, again, it's a lot of work just to redo art that was already art. I don't know. I'm not saying a bad thing. I'm just kind of like questioning if this was wholly necessary. I don't know. It's good. It's one of the more bland ones, to be honest, but I think overall it's pretty cool. So then you have Twilight. Now, Twilight's interesting because they make the badger more prominent in this art compared to the US one, where the badger is more of a minute thought. This one, badger's more like, wait, what's that? It's a badger. But again, it's just evoking a lot of the original one. And also, this is a weird thing. Why did they give Crowfeather such a strange neck? Look at that. Look at that neck. Wow. Anyway, moving on to Sunset. Again, it's just evoking the original one, but just redone. I mean, this one's even stranger. They flipped the stars? Why that? I mean, yeah, you have, like, cat spirits walking on the stars now. That's pretty cool. But so overall, the Taiwan covers, they're really good. They're really well drawn. They're really well executed. And they redo the original cover art in a faithful but unique way. But I'm just kind of questioning, was it necessary to redo it? It seems like a lot of work was done. Again, not denying the fact they look amazing. I'm just questioning, why did you put someone through this? I don't know. But now, let's move on to the China covers. Now, this first one, holy. So first off, you have the 6 cats surrounding what is in Midnight's lair, obviously with Midnight in the center. And first off, that's a cool badger. That truly gives out the fact that the Midnight is bigger than the cats. And each cat is differently designed. Like the first cat in the background behind Midnight, you can see that's clearly Brambleclaw, just the way he's looking and tensed. You can also kind of individually tell which cat is which if you really paid attention and took the time. I'm not really going to take that, but I think it is cool. It's a really striking image. I like the subtle use of warriors in the background with the main text overshadowing it. There's a little paw there. It's cute. It's lovely. It's nice. It's amazing. Also, fun fact, on the translation that I used, apparently this translates to cat samurai, which I would assume is wrong, but if it's right, that's funny as hell. So then next we have the Moonrise. This one's also cool. Like, again, you have the 6 cats. You can clearly tell which cat is each cat. It's lovely. The mountains are gorgeous. It's keeping with the same style. I love it. This is amazing. Again, whatever issues you have with the country as a whole, the cover art they give them is amazing. Dawn is also really cool. So, like, you have prominently for the first time a cat. This is what I assume is leaf wool or squirrel paw, even though it's, again, wrong color. But again, you have this lovely, like, dawn in the background. Although the way this image is framed, it looks more like an ocean as opposed to like a lake, which, it looks pretty, but it's just kind of a weird visual to give. I don't know. Not much to say here. So then we have Starlight. Now this one is cool. So obviously on the right, they're at the moon pool, right? I love the moon pool. I love seeing it in covers. So on the right, you have Leaf Pool, and she's talking to Spotted Leaf. Like, I can confidently say that is Spotted Leaf. But there's two cool very things they're doing here. So one, we see Spotted Leaf has stars in her pelt, which again, that's kind of how StarClan rolls. But if you also look, she doesn't have a reflection. Now, unfortunately, this does not mean Spotted Leaf is a vampire. I know, this is very unfortunate news. But what it does mean is that they are taking special care to say that, yeah, she's a spirit. She's not really here. And I think it's a minute detail, but it really pulls together the image. And I love it. I like kind of like the background. The colors are nice. It really pops. So then you have Twilight, and there's a lot going on here. So you have Squirrel Flight leaping into the air, attacking a badger who is, I assume this is Cinder Pelt. But yeah, again, very dramatic. Also, I'm not going to show you this, but if you look up the Chinese cover for this one, that's like without the text. Squirrel Flight's tail is longer and looks more like a tail. Why they edited it down for the official release, I don't know. But, not much to say here. It's good art. It's framed nicely. There's action. There's dynamic movement. Looks good. And finally, we have Sunset. Honestly, it's a little boring. Yeah. So you have Brambleclaw, you have Squirrel Flight. There's a sunset behind them. That's it. It's good art, but it's just a little boring compared to all the other images we got that were very evocative of the books and of the story. This was a little bland, not gonna lie. Like, I would think that they would have, like, the Hawk Frost versus Brambleclaw thing, or something of that nature. But no, it's just 2 cats sitting, and technically 1 standing, but, it's tame. But overall, these are really good books. Like, compared to the last arc, where you had, like, poorly, hastily drawn together things to communist propaganda. Again, if you want to know what I'm talking about, watch the last video. It's pretty funny. It is long, but, these videos are long. There's a lot of books. There's, like, no joke. I have, like, 105 slides of this. So we're not done yet. We have one more country to cover. But one more thing for China. Bad policies, but overall, good art. Love it. It's fantastic. And now, for the one you've been waiting for. The one we've all been waiting for. Let's talk about Poland. Now, unfortunately, I'll be very upfront with you. Unfortunately, unlike the last time, where Poland had so many wonderful artworks and so many wonderful colors, unfortunately, this time, there was only one run of art for all of Arc 2. So I actually put out a statement and, like, asked, hey, could you help me? And I was informed by a lovely individual that, unfortunately, this is the only covers for the Poland Warrior Cats books. But hopefully, in the future, we'll get more, and maybe I'll cover them then. Who knows? But anyway, let's get on with the fantasticness. First up, we have Midnight. It's beautiful. It's lovely. Again, this is how you do a cat head in a book cover with, like, still having a wonderful image. Like, you see, this is Brambleclaw. Below him, he's a cat, presumably him, is looking out on the setting sun. Like, yeah, this isn't Midnight, but it still looks cool. And just because I want you to look at all this, here is a fuller vision of the art. It's not the complete art. You would have to look it up to yourself, but I can only fit so much in this slide. But just look at this. Look at the colors. Look at how it's realistic, but it still has that artistic touch to it. It's beautiful. I love it. Please go look up the full art. It looks amazing. So then we have Moonrise. Ooh, this one's very spooky. Again, very clearly it's Stormfur. Very clearly it's a moon rising. But it's interesting because this takes place in, like, the mountains, but the vibe we're getting, like the colors, it's this very spooky, almost Halloween-like feeling. And even the full art, if you look at it, it still gives off that, like, really off-putting, like, kind of almost scary kind of visual. But it's not bad. I actually really like this. It's really cool. And next we have Dawn, aka the book cover you saw in the thumbnail. Again, it's Squirrel Flight. You see her on the bottom. That's her fluffy tail. It looks good. Not much to say. It's really good. And here is the full art. Again, it's the texture work on, like, the landscape. It's very minimal, but it looks so good. I love it. And we have Starlight. Now this one also looks really cool. You know, you see the cat on the bottom. This is the leaf pool. Yeah, this is leaf pool. And she's looking out in the moon pool. Looks nice. But just wait until you see this full art. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. It's so cool. Northern Lights all over the place. It's so cool. I love it. Look at it. Look at it. It's awesome. It's so cool. Next we have Twilight. This is a very intimidating look for Crowfeather. And you have Crowfeather and Leafpool on the bottom, walking away. Very nice colors. I love it. Here's the full art. Oh my gosh. Look at these twisted trees. Look at them. Oh, that's gorgeous, man. Gorgeous. And finally, the man himself, Hawkfrost. Out of every single cover art we have seen, this is the best one for Hawkfrost. No other have gotten Hawkfrost really correct, aside from, like, copying the original art. But this looks awesome. And, like, look at this full art. And you know what I love? You know what I love a lot about this? Below him, you can see the body, and you can even see, like, a little shade of blood. It's very minute, but you can clearly see this cat. And if you can see, like, on his torso, there's, like, a thing poking out. Now, you could say that's his ear, but you could also say that's a stake. I don't know. Up to your own interpretation, I guess. But overall, I would say this is awesome. And with that awesome final note, this has been almost every single minutely interesting Warrior Cats cover. I didn't cover them all. There's some I missed because either they were repeats or because they just weren't that interesting. But that's it. So, what did you think of Warrior Cats international covers about the new Prophecy? Did you like some of these covers? Did you not like some of these colors? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know down below. And please, if there's any information I got wrong regarding some of these international covers, please let me and everyone know. Reading the comments on the last one was so amazing. Y'all are so knowledgeable. And with that, I want to wish you all a very happy day. See you all next time. Bye-bye.